All right. She won't be back until around 5 in the evening, so take your time. That voice belonged to my husband. He should be at work. Who on earth has he brought home? Today I suddenly had to work from home, so he probably doesn't realize I'm inside the house. I felt guilty, but curious about my husband's suspicious behavior, I decided to listen in. You're a terrible husband, bringing me here while Susan is away. What are you talking about? You're the one betraying your best friend to have fun with me. I was shocked to hear these voices from the living room and went blank. What does this mean? Why can I hear my husband and best friend's voices? And fun with me, what are they talking about? My mind went blank, but before I could sort things out, they embraced each other. I was too stunned to speak, but I couldn't let this go. I quietly opened my room door and peeked into the living room from the hallway without them noticing. They were so focused on what they were doing that they didn't notice me at all. I stuck my head out of my room and filmed them with my smartphone. This would be incontrovertible evidence for the divorce and for a certain revenge I planned. Maybe 30 minutes passed. Hello? Hello. I just arrived. Upon receiving that call, I quietly left my room and opened the door quietly. Then, the next moment. My name is Susan, a 30-year-old living alone and working in an office. After graduating high school, I couldn't afford college and started working. I've experienced various jobs, but finally settled in my current stress-free company. I don't earn a lot, nor live luxuriously, but being able to live normally was best for me. Besides, I found fulfillment in things other than money. Hey! Sorry to keep you waiting. The meeting with the client took longer than expected. Don't worry, I wasn't waiting that long. Then, shall we go? Today's my favorite place, and we're off tomorrow, so let's drink the night away. I wasn't married, but I had been dating someone for about 6 months, and my personal life was quite fulfilling. He was a regular office worker, so neither of us earned a lot, and our dates weren't extravagant. We'd go to a regular bar, drink, or relax at each other's places on days off, just like any normal couple, but that's why we could live happily. You know, you should think about getting married soon. You're past 30, it's gonna get tougher. Yeah, I know. But if I bring it up, it might seem like I'm rushing him, and he doesn't seem opposed to marrying. That's good then. But women have a harder time finding someone as they get older, that's why I'm worried. One day, during lunch with my high school best friend, the topic of marriage came up. Of course, being over 30, I was anxious. If I couldn't marry my current boyfriend, maybe I wouldn't be able to marry anyone. I'm not particularly beautiful or wealthy. But I wanted to avoid rushing him into marriage, being careful. He seemed serious about our relationship, and I believed he had his own timing. So, I waited for him to propose. Another 6 months passed. On my birthday, he invited me to a fancy restaurant. Last year, we had a party at home, so I was a bit surprised at this lavish celebration. It was a dress code restaurant, so I dressed up, did my makeup, and went to the restaurant. He came straight from work, in a suit. But he seemed different, his hair perfectly styled, giving off a good vibe. Thinking about how much he was celebrating my birthday made me feel warm inside. Thanks for coming today. And about your present. Could you accept this? He said, handing me a small box. Could it be a ring? I do like jewelry, maybe he bought a ring from my favorite brand. A ring. Will you accept this as my promise of a future together as husband and wife? He asked, opening the ring box while looking into my eyes, and proposed to me. Thinking back, it's a bit embarrassing, but I remember being so happy that I cried. Finally, I can get married too. Of course, I wasn't dating him with the sole goal of getting married. Even without marriage, he's genuinely a good person, and I thoroughly enjoyed our relationship. However, given my age and practical reasons, I did want to get married sooner rather than later. That's why I was overwhelmed with emotion when I could finally tie the knot with my beloved. Yes! That night, I immediately called my best friend Kelly to share the news of my engagement. Kelly was as happy for me as if it were her own joy. Soon after, we set a wedding date. Though it was a small ceremony, every friend who attended was smiling and congratulating us. Since his apartment was a bit larger in terms of layout, we decided to start our life together in his place. We agreed to split living expenses and to save for the future in my husband's account. Neither of us were extravagant spenders, and we aimed to maintain our previous standard of living, so money was never an issue. We lived a modest life, ensuring to have a special dinner out once a month to maintain our bond as a couple. As we continued this lifestyle for 1, 2, then 3 years, our marriage seemed stable. However, gradually we began to respect each other less. Well, to be honest, it wasn't mutual disrespect, but rather he stopped respecting me. "Hey, I'm not asking you to do the dishes, but could you at least soak them in water after eating? Otherwise, they dry up and become hard to clean. I'm off on weekends and get home at a regular time, so you should be able to handle the housework. I'm tired from work." I get that you're tired from work, but a little cooperation would help. That's not the point. It's natural for you to do the housework. Don't you know that, even after being married? What era is he living in? Back in the day, men worked and women were housewives. If he's talking about those times, I may understand his point. Or if I were a full-time housewife not working at all, catering to some of his whims would be part of my job. But first of all, we're both working. Sure, I earn less in my admin job. But we split all living expenses, and we spend the same amount. The extra money becomes our personal allowance. Shouldn't we split the housework then? I've been handling more chores when he works on Saturdays or stays late, but there's no appreciation for that. Because I'm a woman isn't a reason to do all the housework. Lately, he's not even doing the bare minimum. Laundry left where it's taken off, dirty dishes left on the table. All he needs to do is soak the dishes. I'm not asking him to wash them. For laundry, just putting it in the basket is enough. But he's too lazy to do even these simple tasks. Think about me too. Just soaking the dishes or putting laundry in the basket doesn't take much effort. Doing just that would cut my workload by more than half. I'm not asking you to do the chores, just the basics. If you're bothered by dishes after I eat, just clean them up yourself. Seriously. You lack the care a wife should have for her husband. I shouldn't have married you. I shouldn't have married you. Those words from my husband left me speechless. There are things you can and can't say, right? In these 3 years, I've been frustrated with my husband countless times. But I never said I regretted marrying him. Isn't there a saying, familiarity breeds contempt? Doesn't he know that? From that day on, our relationship worsened, and I lived with increasing stress. Can you listen? Lately, everything's just been so irritating. I know it's not easy, but maybe divorce is the answer? Well, we don't have kids, so maybe. But I'm scared I won't be able to remarry if we do divorce. I understand what you're saying, but continuing this marriage doesn't seem right either. Maybe it's time to draw the line. Lately, I've found myself venting to my best friend Kelly more and more, and even though I knew it was unrealistic, the thought of divorce began creeping into my mind. Of course, being in my late 30s, I think the chances of remarrying if I divorce now are slim to none. I don't have much money, and I'm just an ordinary woman in her late 30s with a divorce under her belt. There's this fear that no one would want someone like me, that uncertainty was there. But even if I tried to improve our marriage, it would be futile if my husband wasn't interested. I feared I would just keep getting more stressed and eventually lose it, but thankfully, venting to Kelly kept me from bottling up too much stress. The turning point came about a month later. As usual, I was preparing to go to work when I got a call from my boss. There was an outbreak of an infectious disease in the office, and those who could work from home were instructed to do so. Since I had a computer at home and could log into my company account, my work would be the same whether at home or the office, so I decided to work from there. Around noon that day, I heard the front door open. All right. She won't be back until around 5 p.m., so take your time. That voice was my husband's. He was supposed to be at work. Who on earth had he brought home? I usually left for work later than my husband and used the train, so it wouldn't be strange for my bike to be at home. I always kept my shoes in the shoe cabinet, so he probably didn't realize I was in the house. Though I felt guilty, I couldn't help but be curious about my husband's actions. Who had he brought home, and what did he mean by take your time until I returned? I decided to eavesdrop on my husband's suspicious behavior. You're a terrible husband, bringing me here while Susan is away. What are you talking about? You're the one betraying your best friend to have fun with me. I was shocked to hear the voices from the living room and went blank. What does this mean? Why can I hear my husband and best friend's voices? And fun with me, what are they talking about? Thinking calmly, it was clear at this point that my husband and best friend were having an affair. But I believed my husband wouldn't cross such a line, and more than anything, I thought my best friend wouldn't betray me. No, I wanted to believe that. However, reality is cruel. Before I could sort out my thoughts, they embraced each other. I suppressed my breath and listened to their voices, and after some time, I accepted the reality. These people, they're not human. Consumed by desire, beasts. Thinking this way made me feel a bit relieved and allowed me to regain my composure. But I couldn't let this slide. I quietly opened my room door and peeked into the living room from the hallway without them noticing. They were so engrossed in what they were doing that they didn't notice me at all. I stuck my head out of my room and filmed them with my smartphone. This would be solid evidence for the divorce and also necessary for a certain revenge I planned. Maybe 30 minutes had passed. Hello? Hello. I just arrived. Upon receiving that call, I quietly left my room and opened the door quietly. Then, the next moment. Hey! What the hell are you doing here? Huh? Why are you here? That doesn't matter right now. Answer me. Why are you cheating here? Explain. I think she was really surprised, but in the midst of her affair with my husband, her own husband burst into yelling. Yes, I had filmed my husband and my best friend's girlfriend cheating and sent it to her husband. We weren't close, but we had a connection as the spouses of best friends. He replied immediately when I contacted him, and since they were still in the act, I had him come to the scene. I was the one who contacted him. It's a bit weird to be committing such betrayal at home, don't you think? Or maybe you have a habit of doing this. When I appeared from behind, both of them were shocked. They must not have expected me to be there. With their spouses appearing before them, I think they were in a state of panic. They were speechless, looking at each other, trying to make sense of the situation, but I wasn't going to give them that time. I decided to let out everything I was thinking. Don't think you can do something like this and get away with it. Betraying someone and acting like nothing happened. I won't let you get off that easily. Why are you even here? Weren't you supposed to be at work? What does that matter right now? Don't change the subject. Before asking about me, why don't you explain why you're cheating with my best friend? As I cornered them with these questions, both my best friend and husband fell silent. They must be aware that what they're doing is wrong. Whether they're unable to grasp the situation or their minds aren't working, thinking that staying silent will solve everything is a huge mistake. As adults, they need to take responsibility for their actions, and I won't let them escape. So, you're not even going to apologize for what you've done? Do you understand the position you've put yourself in? Wait a minute, it's not what you think. Let me explain. There's a good reason for this. A good reason? I wish they'd stop taking me for a fool. There's no justifiable reason for cheating. They just couldn't control their desires. I baited them to make excuses, but I never expected them to start with denial instead of apologizing. Maybe I was foolish to have even a bit of hope. I thought they would at least apologize first. How naive to think that people who cheat would have any semblance of decent feelings. A good reason for cheating. I'd love to hear this. Even a child knows that betraying someone is wrong. It was just a moment of weakness. Just once we hadn't been intimate in a while, and I was feeling pent up. I just thought it'd be a way to relieve some stress. Yeah, that's right. It was just a little slip-up.
A slip-up? Really? Thinking about it now, maybe my best friend was encouraging me to divorce so she could be with my husband. It's not like my husband is rich, and my friend's husband is quite wealthy. So, it couldn't have been for money. More likely, they developed feelings they shouldn't have. Well, as adults and married people, acting without thinking about the consequences is unimaginable.
Can you swear it was only once? Of course. It was just a bit of fun. Nothing more. Can you forgive us, just this once?
So they think by saying all this, I'm going to forgive and trust them? And I can tell that my best friend's husband, silently listening to our conversation, is also furious. Do they really think we'll forgive them if they just make excuses? And if they want forgiveness, shouldn't an apology be the first step? They haven't apologized for their actions, nor have they considered my feelings. All they're thinking about is how to get us to let them off the hook. I was truly disgusted to have such people as a best friend and husband.
Shouldn't an apology come first? Expecting forgiveness without even apologizing. I can't believe such audacity. I'm really sorry. Please forgive us.
They can't even apologize without being prompted. A clear sign they're not really remorseful. Even now, with things having come to this point, they can't apologize unless told to. I had no intention of forgiving them, but something they said earlier caught my attention. Was this really the first time? It's hard to believe I just happened to catch them cheating like this. It's more natural to think they've been doing this for a while. And the way my husband escorted her, it didn't seem like their first time. They entered the house and started right away without any hesitation. Evidence of their familiarity. They think if they insist it's the first time, I'll believe them, but I'm not fooled anymore. Everything they say is a lie.
Really, the first time? I watched the whole thing, and it didn't look like a first-time encounter. And even if it was, it seemed premeditated.
That already raises suspicion.
What? It really was the first time. It's just a coincidence that you were here today. That's why I can't trust someone who betrays me so easily. Show me your phone. My phone?
Just give it to me. I demanded and took his phone. If it truly was their first time, there should be evidence on his phone. If they had been cheating, there'd be messages or photos. If not, there'd be nothing. I expected to find something, so I opened the phone and checked it with my best friend's husband. And there it was. It turned out they had been cheating for over 6 months. The first time, huh? All lies. What a joke. How much more do you plan to mock us? To think you've been deceiving me for 6 months. Betraying someone and then feeling good about yourself? And my so-called best friend? Knowing I was having issues with my husband, yet she goes and has an affair with him. This is no friend at all.
You've been involved for 6 months and now you're playing dumb? Are you mocking me? No, it's not like that. I didn't want to hurt you. I know what I've done is wrong. I've been thinking about improving our relationship too. Stop it already. Betraying me, lying to me. You can't even apologize sincerely. I'm so disappointed in you.
I yelled at my husband and slammed his phone on the floor. Maybe I should have kept it for evidence, but I didn't care at that moment. I just couldn't hold back my feelings anymore. Then, as if to stop me, my best friend's husband stepped forward and tapped my shoulder.
Do you two have any idea what you've done? I'm really sorry. I didn't mean any harm. You were always busy with work, and I just wanted a little excitement. But I truly love only you. Please forgive me. I'm divorcing you. That's all I have to say. What? I'm deeply sorry. I swear we'll never meet again. Please, just this once, forgive us. I beg you.
After all the lies, how can I possibly trust either of you? And yet, who do they think they are? Do they really think such a shallow apology will be accepted? This is beyond ridiculous. I will never accept their apologies, and I will never forgive them.
I'm divorcing you too, and I'll be informing your company. Wait! The company has nothing to do with this. What makes you think you have the right to say that? After betraying someone like this, I'll ruin your life. No!
Enough with the jokes. Do they think they're in any position to argue? My anger is at its limit.
Don't mock people. You too will suffer for the rest of your lives, and I have no sympathy for you. This is the consequence of your actions, and how adults take responsibility. And now I realize, you married me just for my money, didn't you? No, that's not true. I truly love you. I run a business, so I couldn't always give you attention. I always indulge your whims, remember? How much money have I spent on you? And yet, you go satisfy your desires with my best friend's husband, utterly despicable.
My best friend's husband had reached his breaking point. I learned at their wedding that he ran a business. Though not a huge company, it was quite profitable, and my best friend enjoyed a good life thanks to that. But she only saw her husband as an ATM and chose my husband to satisfy her lust, truly rotten to the core. And my husband, knowing all this, was no better.
Our firm has a contract with a prominent law firm, so we'll be getting a lawyer who's strong in divorce cases.
Don't think you can escape.
Fine. I'll do whatever it takes if we're divorcing. Angry now, are you? Don't make him angrier. It'll only make things worse. Just hold back. It doesn't matter how angry you make me, the amount you'll owe for the division of assets won't change. I might as well take everything and divorce you. You're getting a divorce too, so let's just remarry each other. That'll work out best for everyone, right?
What? I was dumbfounded, but she finally showed her true colors. This was the real face of my best friend. Thinking only of herself, consumed by greed, a perfect match for such words.
You're mistaken if you think there's much money for you. Don't mock me. The assets built after marriage are to be split equally between us.
Yeah. I hardly take any salary from the company. Most of it goes to monthly card payments, living expenses, and the mortgage. We can sell the house, but given its location, I doubt it'll even cover the mortgage. Ready to share the debt? Hearing this, my friend's husband, who was furious moments ago, collapsed to his knees. Cheaters never prosper in the end. I don't think my best friend, who's been jobless, can afford to survive, so she'll probably end up in debt. Her parents are quite strict, so I doubt they'll offer her any help. As for my husband, I'm going to report him to his company, and he'll probably lose his job. A decent life seems unlikely for him now. This whole mess will probably end our relationship with my best friend, and I can't imagine anyone helping out someone who cheated. We had many mutual acquaintances with my husband, but none of them are so morally corrupt.
This place is in your name, so I'll pack my things and leave today. Just sign the divorce papers in the meantime. I'll get my lawyer to contact you further. Don't rush into things like this. I have my side of the story. Your side of the story? Why would I listen to such nonsense? Just sign the divorce papers quietly, and if you have any complaints, feel free to consult a lawyer and argue your case.
With that said, I went back to my room and immediately started packing. I explained everything to my parents when I went back home. It was tough keeping it together in front of my husband and best friend, but the shock of being betrayed by the two people I trusted most was overwhelming, and I broke down crying in front of my parents. They kindly took me in, and I managed to get a week off from work. I used that time for mental rest and consulting with a lawyer about the divorce. It took some time to negotiate, but eventually, I was able to cut ties with my ex-husband.
Hello. Thank you for covering the lawyer's fees. And I'm sorry for all the trouble my ex-husband caused. Don't apologize. My ex-wife was part of the problem too. Fortunately, the lawyer our company works with took the case at a reduced rate. Thank you.
Later, I heard from my best friend's ex-husband that she had incurred a significant amount of debt. As expected, she's now struggling to pay it off. Since she hadn't worked since marrying him, she's now working part-time at a supermarket. Living in an old apartment, the amount she can spare for debt repayment after covering living expenses is meager. It'll take her years to pay it off, but it's a fitting end for her. Betrayal carries a heavy price. After that, I contacted my ex-husband's company, and he was cornered into becoming a marginal employee. He wasn't competent at work to begin with, and his departure didn't really harm the company. Unable to endure the work environment, he soon quit. But now, I wonder how he'll manage his life from here on out. As for those who betray others, they deserve to suffer. Meanwhile, I used the damages I received to find a new place to live and have managed to return to my regular life. My work environment hasn't changed. I'm still an office worker with a modest salary, but I've come to appreciate the kindness of those around me anew. Sure, getting married again might be difficult, and I might remain single for life. But what's important isn't marriage. It's about having people who genuinely care and are willing to help when needed. Just having such people around makes me feel fortunate. I plan to keep cherishing these invaluable everyday moments and live life facing forward.